Let's cross now to Public Affairs Analyst Femi Lawson for this conversation and his perspective on the issues. Help us make some sense of the definition here. How does the government define undue publicity in the context of media coverage of terrorists and bandit activities?
Thank you, Felicity. For me, I think the Honourable Minister is unnecessarily getting carried away by the virtue of his incumbent position, especially when you look at a man who himself has been a media entrepreneur, president of the country today, has been a media entrepreneur. And I think it is as simple as saying that the Honourable Minister does not, or has made rather, an attempt to frame ignorance of press freedom, which is not just a matter of constitutionality as far as our country is concerned, but also a key component, a key ingredient to a functional democracy. What the minister is attempting to do can be simply defined as media censorship, because reportage of activities of criminals, insurgent activities, terror attacks, and the likes are not only means of exposing the activities of these criminals, but also means of cautioning and guiding the citizenry and even the security agencies in the case of a possible future attack by these criminals. As much as one can sympathize with the government because of the volume of the pressure the government has been subjected to due to the activities of these criminal elements, we cannot, for that reason, undermine a key component of our democracy, which is press freedom. Trying to tell the media to limit their reportage of the activities of these criminals and not to media censorship, and I think it's not a way to go, especially for a minister who himself has been in the media under a president who is also a media entrepreneur.
Okay, I was just going to jump in and ask some would argue that he was more focused on the sensationalizing of some of these stories and the prominence that's given to it. Is asking for some decorum. And on the flip side of this argument, as much as there is press freedom, there is ethics guiding the practice of journalism, and one of them is to minimize or do no harm in the act of reporting. So when you add that to the argument, some would say he does have a point when the choice is often to go for what is more sensational than the facts behind some of these stories.
When media organizations resort to sensationalizing stories, especially while the such medium reports stories as it may not have been the reality on the ground. Of course, not only is the minister right in demanding for decorum, in the reportage of stories, it is even beyond the minister, because there are regulatory organizations, the NBC, even the National and the Nigerian Union of Journalists, and other organizations that would actually weigh into this and correct such sensational approach to reporting stories. But I sense that the opinion of the minister is beyond that, especially when he said, no, we don't have to put these stories on the front page and the like. I want to disagree with the Honourable Minister that Nigerians deserve to know the true state of insecurity, the true state of the operation of this criminal element. Sometimes that we are refused to call terrorists, call them bandits, others, and also funny nomenclature.
Mr. Lawson, at some point, at some point, I do remember the caveats that sort of became a thing. Instead of calling these people terrorists, the literature was changed to bandits. There was no definition as to who these persons are because we don't know them. That's just an aside thought. But for the purpose of education as well, in what ways can sensational reporting on terrorism and banditry inadvertently serve the agenda of these criminal groups?
But in most cases, we try to, undermine the potency of their activities, especially when you have to refer to people who are terrorists as mere bandits, sometimes as armed herders and also. So it is not even this sensationalizing the stories or the news is not even the problem. What we are even doing as a society, as government, is even more grievous than what the media is seemingly doing. For me, calling the spade a spade will do more good than asking the media not to report it in a sensational manner. For God's sake, it has almost become a deliberate policy of states and the media to refer to bloody terrorists as mere bandits, sometimes as mere armed why we're supposed to. So, if you look at the fear of sensationalism, I think there are more issues that can be attributed to government and even individual approach.
All right, Mr. Lawson.
Than what the media is reporting.
We'll have to leave it there for now. Thank you for speaking with us.
My pleasure.